Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope it's good to be where you are because it is really good to be here today. My name is Baltimore Fats, and this is the continuation of Mud City. All right, here we go. So, I hope everyone's doing well today. I'm really excited today because not only has Rebel Without a Pause channel now shared 2 of my videos, uh, I have gotten my first trolls, which has me very, very excited. I was beginning to think I was doing something wrong, like maybe I showered too much. But so, yeah, I've got my 2 very first trollish comments, and they have me very excited. So we're going to have a little fun with the trolls, Fat Man style. And so here, this is my Zep Tepi video that I made yesterday. He gave me a trollish comment about this church, about the church that Conspiracy RS shared in a couple of his videos, right? And so I'm going to get to this in just one quick second. I just want to talk about the video, the Zep Tepi video, just quickly, because there are a couple things that I forgot to mention in there, and I don't think it's the best video I've made. And one of the troll comments I got, which was over on Rebel's channel, was the commenter said they feel dumber for having watched this, and I agree. I feel dumber for having watched it and made it because it made me realize how little I know, and how casually I've been treating this subject matter, and I'm going to continue to treat it casually. But I'm a much more casual type of person. Like I call myself a Jaffo in that video, and that stands for just another freaking observer, and that's kind of the way I view myself, right? And but the one point I kind of wanted to really make with the video that kind of I think gets a little bit lost having watched it back was that, the idea of the mud event, whatever it was, however it happened, when you, apply, when you filter that speculative knowledge, or speculative information rather, I don't want to call it knowledge, but information, when you filter that through your own cities and towns, and when you see correlations, it really, puts a shadow over, the who's, who is doing it, who did it, why are we being controlled? Because when we have this type of physical evidence, when it's tangible, when you can go out and find it and take pictures of it, and it's there. And you can ask questions, and whether those questions have answers, whether or not this church is underpinned, doesn't make a difference, right? This could be underpinning here. We're going to talk about underpinning in a second. Once we can sort of wake people up, and I hate that expression, it's so overused, but once you can point out to people that this stuff is happening in buildings, and it's visible in architecture that we're being told is made relatively recently, and that we're living in and among the what you could essentially call ruins in some places. Get people's attention to that, make noise that way, and that'll rattle some cages down the line. Whose ever cage it is. So that's why I think that the mud event, the appeal, at least for the mud event, is universal. Using that word loosely, but it's something that can tie all of that theory together. And again, I don't think I made the point very good in the video. Whether it's flat Earth or globe, heliocentrism, or whatever it's religion, or your take on what your conspiracy is. I mean, when you tie it into the evidence at hand and what you want to make of that evidence, But again, it helps to understand that you're being lied to, across the board, and your thoughts and emotions are being manipulated on a daily basis. It makes filtering that information hard, and that cognitive dissonance, or whatever that phenomena is called, is very present in people. And I think it's present in my troll here, who I want to hug him and squeeze him and love him and keep him forever and call him my trolley. Okay, let's get to it. I didn't set my timer. Let me set my timer. Because I'm so excited about this that I'm gonna just make a special little video today about what I did this morning, unfiltered. Okay, so where's my timer? Where is it? There it is. All right, and we're going. Okay, so my friend here, my troll, he came along and he was dissing Conspiracy on Us, right, and my video, saying I needed to do research or whatever. And also, as an aside, I don't feel I should really have to point this out, but I'm a proudly uneducated speculator, okay? Like I said, a Jaffo. And I'm going through this one day at a time, just like everybody else. And I'm happy to be proved wrong about anything. Actually, I like getting proved wrong, because it's hard being right all the time. Anyway, so again, having fun here. And also, everything in this video, David Notley Roth, everything is fair use. I'm going to use clips from one of his videos. It's all fair use. Fair use, I call. So he says, let's see. I don't want to give him that much time of day, but where's this original video? I suggest you do a bit of research and try to understand the principle of underpinning. Okay, here we go. Let's do a little Baltimore Fat style Wikipedia research on underpinning, and let's see what we find, shall we? Let's underpin the crap out of this thing. Okay, so this just goes over the basic nature of what underpinning is, and what he says makes sense. They have to go under the original foundation and stabilize it, for whatever reason. And there's a list of reasons here. I'm not going to take up too much time and read them all. But one of the reasons is earthquake, flood. Are you kidding? One of the reasons for underpinning would be an earthquake or a flood? No. Wow. Whew. It's a good thing underpinning disproves mud flood. Okay, and, so again, it just goes into so it says mass concrete underpinning, or here they call it traditional underpinning. So this mass concrete underpinning would be what he's suggesting. I have to, I'm presuming that's what he's suggesting is happening here. That this is the mass concrete underpinning, or what do they just call it? I've not done any of this. This is not researched at all. I just literally pulled this up to do. I read this earlier, but just doing my regular thing here, guys. But it's super excited and so happy to be having this amount of fun. He's made my day, my week. Trolley, I love you. Okay, so it's nearly 100. It's traditional. The mass concrete underpinning method is nearly 100 years in age, and the protocol has not changed. So it's essentially they're doing the same thing that they did nearly 100 years ago. And so let's just call it 100 years. We'll say 100. We'll call it 103 years. 8 years. We'll say it was 1910 that they invented this underpinning method. All right, just for the sake of argument. And again, Wikipedia, is not, it's not God. It's just, user-based information. Someone put this in there, and so this is just what I'm working with, and again, I always welcome, any additional information or whatever. All right, so I'm getting off on that. So we'll say we'll give it 100 years, 100, and we'll go back to like 1910, right? And so they say that this, and again, this information could be incorrect, and I didn't go back and watch the video or anything, but if I remember correctly, this was happening in the 1920s. And there's somebody pointed out a tree in one of the comments. There it is. That's a good-looking tree back there. Probably been there a while. So this is done in the 1920s, so it's new. This is brand new. Look at the size of this building they're attempting to do, and look how far down they had to dig to do this underpinning. Now, I don't know if I could see a difference so much in this looking like very new concrete. And again, perhaps it is. I am not an expert. This is just going by my observation of this photograph. That's all I'm working with. This doesn't look all that new, and as a matter of fact, it kind of has the same discoloration here. How new could this stuff be? And a brand new technique that they're doing, under this very large concrete structure, whatever brick or whatever this material, whatever this church was made out of. And again, my favorite personal speculation is that there's stone under here and this was bricked over at some point. But so anyway, so this is his contention, that this is the underpinning happening here. And again, perhaps it is. So if this is the underpinning, then the base of the foundation, the original foundation, would probably be this, or at least that's my assumption, based on what I'm reading about what underpinning is, or, right? The underpinning method is generally applied when the existing foundation is at shallow depth. Now, that doesn't seem that shallow to me, but perhaps because it does go on to say up to 50 feet, and I certainly don't think the level that this church was at down below is 50 feet. So then heavy machinery is not employed in this method. Okay, there we go. So again, you have to think this is the method that he's talking about when he's saying that this church was underpinned. All right, and the low cost of labor and so forth, right? They don't want to pay anybody to do this stuff, right? How dangerous it is. But let's see, it says utilitarian, why can't I read that word? Tools such as shovels and post holes diggers. Several advantages to using this method of underpinning, including the simplicity of the engineering, the low cost of labor, and the continuity of the structure's use during construction. Okay, so anyway, so then it goes on to suggest, there's beam and base method of underpinning, right? Do you think that this would be as reinforced concrete beams is constructed below, above, or in replacement of? Do you think that's what they're doing? They are putting beams up underneath this? Or are they doing that mass concrete underpinning, less than 100 years old? We've got this brand new method of securing foundations. Let's find the heaviest building that we can find and test it out. Shoot. So again, now there's mini piles have the greatest use where ground conditions are variable. I don't know if those were ground conditions variable. So anyway, I'm going on too long with this. I'm trying to, but in his comment on my video, and then the second one, he says, the lower level of the site determines the base level of the original foundations. Left-hand side of the pic. Left-hand side of the pic. Lower. So I'm guessing this is what he's talking about over here, right? Okay. As well as the ground conditions encountered and the need to protect the foundations from frost, ground heave, etc. They are relatively shallow deep. Again, I mean, shallow is, I guess, your definition of shallow is going to be relative. 30 feet shallow, not when you're swimming. If there had been a mud flood, then this would be 30 to 60 feet deep, depending on whose version of the mud flood is the most trendy this week. And again, in a fluctuating theory, that's what happens. Trends happen, New information comes in, and I don't know that anybody's ever said that the mud event layered 30 to 60 feet. That's presumptive on his part, isn't it? And he says he's under the impression that the bottom of the foundation are 30 feet deep. And again, just based on the height of the people in this photo, I agree with that. Put everybody even at average height, like my height, 5'8". That's 15, 16, 17 feet. And then you have this, a few feet above that. I just based on this and the height of people, I would put that at 20 feet without a problem. I don't know what the issue is with that. So how do you explain the original foundation depth of roughly 6 feet? And now this is what is curious to me. What's the original foundation depth? Is this the original foundation depth? I thought this was the underpinning. Where's the underpinning? And maybe I don't have a good enough picture to I don't how much deeper this image goes. Do they show underpinning? I wish if someone could forward me or link a better image of this. I don't have hours to search. Is there some secret matrix search engine for these photos that I'm unaware of? Because researchers come up with the best photos, and every time I do simple Google or searches or whatever, I don't come up with anything. But anyway, so I'm thinking that this is the original foundation, right? And so maybe he's talking about, because it's buried, the underground depth or whatever starts here, and maybe this is 6 feet, and these guys aren't that tall, or because if I'm looking at this picture coldly without any degree in anything, if someone were to say point the foundation out of this, I would look at these lines, 1, 2, right? And so I would think, okay, this is the foundation line. If this is the door, then the foundation would be beneath that. That's 6 feet to somebody? Are these Lilliputians here, whatever they were called? I don't know. Or is this the foundation he's talking about? Well, who would put a foundation? Who would put a door midway through a foundation? So again, call me an idiot, but I'm confused by his comments here. I don't know where he's getting the foundation is a 6 foot depth from. Maybe he's talking about this here. These people down here. Again, this photo is definitely cut off. It's not as good as the photo that is used in the Conspiracy R Us video. And again, just having a little speculative fun with my friend, my new friend, my trolley. Okay, so let's get back. Was there more to his comment? But where did he say? Yeah. All right. So underpinned to the regrade of the ground level actually disproves there was ever a mud flood. All right, and that's the thing that gets me. How does the concept or this church building being underpinned disprove the mud flood? Maybe at best an argument could be made that this particular building isn't affected by the mud flood, but when you see this uneven level of coverage here, if they were building an original foundation that needed to be underpinned for support, and again, if this was done in the 20s and they say this church was probably built, I don't know, they say, this is again more speculation on my part, 1800s, 1880s rather, they needed to reaffirm this foundation in less than 50 years. That's pretty poor construction technique for a building of this magnitude, and I want to use the word magnificence, and maybe I'm overusing it, but I would think if they were building a building of this fortitude that unless there was some sort of event, liquefaction or something that destabilized it, it wouldn't need to be underpinned because they would have done their job, because they certainly seem to have done their job everywhere else. So again, I don't know. And that's the nature about speculation, and what I wanted to get to again about, and the point of my video is that this is all speculation. We don't know. We have evidence that we can look at, and we all come from systems of belief, and my troll friend here is from a system of belief that he cannot, accept the difference in his, his paradigm, his worldview, what he was taught. And he has a channel, and I have to remember to subscribe. I didn't do that before I started when I did this. I'm gonna subscribe, David Lee. Don't worry. So anyway, he creates this video, Mudflood Architects Plans Debunking the Theorem, and I like how he uses the word theorem, like we're in geometry class or something. So I'm gonna play his video with the sound down a little bit. Fair use, commentary and criticism. And my favorite part about his video is that he went to that, what was it, Evelyn Wood's speed reading class. You remember those commercials from the 70s and 80s? Man, you slow down a little bit, guy. I'm blind. I can't read this stuff. To pause your video to read just one sentence. Um, you know. But anyway, so the nature of his video, and again, and the beauty of what's, you know, the speculative history. Once you sort of accept that history and the things that have been presented to you are wrong, they're deceptive. What's going on with this one? That was an interesting one, huh? I didn't catch that one the first time around. But anyway, so he's using this to show that there are architectural plans for these buildings and that they haven't changed in over 150 years, 60 years, or whatever, whenever he says that these buildings are built. Look, those basement windows, they're part of the design. Okay, so this guy clearly has not watched any of my, Falcons Maze history of, mud flood through Baltimore, which again, 100% speculation, not trying to convince anybody of anything, just having some fun with the material and filtering the things the way I'm seeing them, But anyway, this proves what I'm trying to say, is that they were playing the long game, that these buildings, were dug up and they had to sell the future generations on what was there already, right? And so they educate a bunch of guys in these, and they say, okay, it's your job you have to draw these. You got to reverse engineer this building, man. You got to make it look good. We're going to put this in books. They're going to be looking at this someday, and I don't know when or why, but the bosses say it's got to be in there. So do your job, draw. Yeah. So again, if you can't accept the speculative nature of stuff, then, when you look at this information, so look, this disproves the mud flood. Okay, maybe it does in your eyes because that's what you want to make of this information. All right, that's as far as you're willing to take this information. But I'm looking at it, and the people who come to a channel like mine, and the other channels, the other mud event, again, there's so much, it seems to be controversy about what it should be called, but mud flood's an easy thing and it's catchy, and if it draws attention to the information, I think that's the most important part. Oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? See, this is what happens to me when I get on a roll and then I get sidetracked. I lost it. Okay. But I think people probably know where I was going with that. What was I saying? That I look at it from a different perspective. I'm looking at this is staged. This is all part of the stage stuff. They weren't stupid. They knew how far they were going to plan ahead. And if these buildings, especially the churches and stuff, were sound technology that they were trying to recover to perpetuate some form of, mind control, and who knows? Again, wild speculation here. Not trying to sell you on it. If that's what they were trying to do, they knew it was going to happen. They needed this stuff in the books. Doesn't disprove anything, my friend. It just answers, as again, you look for answers and all you get are more questions, And that's what I see from this. I love you, David Lee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am going to subscribe to your channel, and I think it's important the things that you do. I want to be tested. I want to have fun with this, and I want to be proven wrong, I really do. But anyway, thank you. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. And, also to the guy who got dumber for watching my video. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Every time I watch a video, it makes me feel dumber because there's so much more to understand, So anyway, that's where I'm going to go with it. I have no idea how much of my half hour I chewed up. But so anyway, I mentioned that, I was going to do some mud flooding downtown, that I had an appointment downtown the other day. And that really didn't work out. And but I went downtown yesterday. I had an idea to do an episode about the Lexington Market and kind of tie it into the the story, the history that's going on right now, because it was incorporated around the time that the Revolutionary War was happening, right? Lexington Market is a very famous market in Baltimore. So I went down there and I took some pictures of it, and And I even Instagram when I started my Instagram, and I think this is going to be a fun idea. And the best part is no one signed up yet. Love that. So, but, I took a couple pictures. I posted one last night that I took there. And I hashtagged Mudflood and Tartarian and Baltimore. And what I'd really like to see is people from all over the world get on Instagram and Instagram photos of things that they see. And, you got to spread the word. You got to get this, see, questions aren't going to be asked unless questions are, questions aren't going to be answered unless they're posed, I guess is what I'm trying to say there, right? And so if we can get people in every city, hashtag Mudflood, or, I want to create a hashtag, something like Mud Inc. or Mudders Incorporated or something like that. And, you know, like Kiss did in the 70s, man, create a mud army. That's what needs to happen. But anyway, but I did find a couple of interesting buildings, and there's going to be a Lexington Market episode, definitely. But I wasn't happy with all the photos that I got, so I thought I'd go back this morning and take some more, And as I was walking, I was thinking about my new friend David Lee, and, and this idea came to me. So no, because I was thinking about how the actual drawings and designs actually play right into what I'm trying to pitch, what my speculation is. And so I just thought it would be a much better, fun idea to do this video instead of going back to Lexington Market. But as I was walking through a neighborhood that I walked through, oh my God, so many times, I saw a couple of interesting features and I snapped some photos. And I thought I would just tag this on at the end. It's just kind of fun and interesting. So I saw these as I was, whoops, that's the wrong way. That's the end of what I did yesterday. I never really noticed these. They're just planter boxes, right? And as I walked by, I was like, because my peripheral vision is so limited, is this part of the original structure? So I took steps back and I took pictures. It's not, it's something that somebody made on here. Very creative. But they're right next to this window, which I love, right? And then I look at, this is that same building, right? Whatever designer of this door failed. I mean, even though it is only 2 steps. And over here we have something that was a coal chute or something, but something had to be dug out of this to make whatever window or coal chute or whatever was here happen, So the architecture doesn't meet the street, and, whenever I see that always, makes me think. And this is the front of that building. Super tall. This is a tall building. This is a tall one, right? And this, and again, I'm going to get into, in the photo, one of the liquefaction photos I showed in the Zeptepi video, I mentioned with the buildings falling over, and they kind of look like this building a little bit to me. And, so I have some ideas about why, architecturally, like, okay, this one I think is a much older than these, right? But this one also has this weird underground, these windows that are flush with the sidewalk. Curious, right? And this one's bricked over. Why, if you're building a new one, why not match the height? Why not create some uniformity? I mean, because there's so many uniform structures, so many uniform rojos of this height or of this height in the city, Why not make them the same height, So that's always curious to me. And so I have some ideas about that I will share in another video sometime. I'm going to try to get through this a little quicker here. Because this is just me strolling along, and I saw this house, totally blown out, old looking. This brick looks really old, and I noticed that, the what would have been the transom window, again, because this was not originally a door. This was a window that they had to make a door, and they, put a transom window there to cover that gap was 8 to 10 feet. You could see through, and I thought that was great, and sorry, I've never utilized my Google's Photos here to do this slideshow, and you can see the different, somebody has the inside of this is all knocked out, so it shows between the rows. It shows between the houses on the row, and this is a better angle of it, and it shows what's in here, and again, one of my theories about some of these row homes and why they could be significantly older, and again, it ties into those houses that I saw that go like this, is, they had opportunities to refurbish. These houses have been refurbished. Why wouldn't they level it out to the ground? Just laziness? Because there's infrastructure. Why? To me, you wouldn't, because for whatever reason, practicality is the first reason. It's not practical. It makes the job that much more expensive, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the things that, like, these don't make sense, because if you were going to put the money, the investment, or time to do it right, so I think things like this are just, well, that shows that was a wood. There might have been a wood beam, although I don't know that that's true. But this kind of shows, oh, that's modern construction, or that's construction typical of 1880, whatever. Yeah, because they could have just built over what was there, and replaced it, because it was easier for them. I don't know. Just again, more speculation. I saw this house. I don't know what that. See, and it's funny when I'm there, and this is again, go watch Enslaved by No Media and those perspective things he does with the phones and stuff. It looks so close, and there's a pitch here, and so it just doesn't translate to the photo. And again, just wandering around, I go, it's like ping pong for me, Jack Skellington style. What's this? What's this? And so I see this is an old warehouse, and so let's walk along this one and see what I see and take some pictures of it. And again, most of my videos, this is unedited. This is just what I did this morning. Every picture I took, you guys are getting today, whether I stay on them or not. And I saw this door, and it doesn't match anything, so there was no windows or anything here, all right? So makes me think, finally, did I really find a door in Baltimore in an old building? I don't think I did. I still don't think I found it. I mean, the things that look like real doors to me are rehabbed buildings, and so what would have originally been there, not a door. And what makes me think I didn't find one is this. This does not match any of the type that I see. This is like a triple layer of brick here. So, I don't know. I mean, I think this was just a regular wall that they had to bust a door into, and that's how they patched this up. It doesn't match any of the other styles that I see, really. I mean, maybe it does, and I don't see it that often, and I'd have to go through photograph after photograph. But I don't normally see this triple brick style here. So that makes me think, not an original door, not a door that was designed. They had to make that door. Again, nice old warehouse, but then as I'm going along, this is across the street from it, How normal does that look? Narrow. I mean, that's 24 inches. No design, Again, they had to make this door for whatever purpose. Maybe it was just to bring coal or wood for furnaces or whatever to heat the homes. And I did have an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who is a contractor who's a realtor, and he buys, he flips houses, right? And so he told me a couple of interesting stories about some properties that he found and had to essentially dig, 3 feet of mud out of the basements of that he couldn't really explain. And he said that he has yet to find any of these old row homes in the Federal Hill area that were heated by steam, which is interesting, because when I was a kid and going to visit my grandparents and stuff like that in the old house, especially my grandmother up in Massachusetts, it was steam. They had huge radiators that hissed, and, I mean, this is that warehouse. Look, are you kidding me? What is it attached to? It's attached to a stone church. And let me tell you how shocked I am by that. Just so shocked. So shocked. And they're actually connected, I think. Did I see that they were connected? Yeah. I mean, they're connected right up to each other. And again, stone church on one side, but it gets bricked up. Right? And see, they bricked over the stone. Right? This was all stone at one time. And then they bricked over it, And, again, here's one layer. This would be, I guess, the foundation layer that they would have to get under if they wanted to underpin this one. This was not original. They had to blow out something to make this door. And this window that's here, you could see repair work. Maybe that wasn't a window there, but just some other general repair because this is old. I don't know. But and this area, South Baltimore, Baltimore City, is just disgusting with old churches and of brick and stone. I mean, they are everywhere and in close proximity. I swear, I am not lying when I say that in a 3-block radius, there are structures that they're not churches today, or some of them aren't. I mean, there's, a half a dozen or more. I mean, I'm talking less than a half a square mile. I mean, I could walk to, more than 6 churches within a half an hour, do the whole circuit, hit them all. I mean, it's just sick. And there's a great one which I'm going to feature in a video that actually looks like a building that I would think was built in the 1880s, and it's a church. I can't wait to get to that one. I should have taken pictures of it when I walked by it the other day. Did I get through this church enough? There's more of this, but then I saw like there's this, and this is an old bathhouse. And the street I used to originally live on, if I'm not mistaken, is on the other side of one of these. It was Poppleton Street, it was called. But this bathhouse is interesting to me, and it was always interesting to me too, because I always, it always fascinated me to have stairways so far off the ground. When you look at like, what was the really disgustingly fat president? Was it Taft or whatever? You had to walk up these steps to do anything, man. It couldn't be good. There's my timer. But I'm almost done, so I'm just going to continue with this. They'll run a bit long. People don't seem to mind, and I appreciate that. But really heavy-set people, and there were heavy-set people in those days, in the early 1900s and stuff. Look at the photographs. They were gluttonous, some of them. This couldn't have been easy for them. So it just never made sense. But now, through the mud event prism, these things make a whole lot more sense. Maybe it's too easy. I don't know. Again, my imagination can be overactive. I don't know if it has a year that this was incorporated on it. So I just took a picture of that, and I take some more pictures of that. Because this was an adventure. I mean, that's what happens to me. It's like Ricochet Rabbit. Bing, bing, bing. I'm going all over the place. This is the front of that church. It's now, appropriately enough, called the Mobtown Ballroom. I don't know what they do in there. They have private functions, parties, This is a massive triptych in front. And I like this. This is kind of unusual. This does not look that familiar to me. I'd like to maybe get in on that a little bit. Is any of the original stained glass in there? That looks weird. No, that's stained glass. Okay. For a minute there, it looked like these were like cylinder kind of things. But no, that's a window. That's stained glass of some sort, I guess. Great looking church. Again, these stone ones make me think they're very, very old. Certainly not made by the modern Europeans that came over in the 1800s or whatever. Again, the angles are kind of weird to me. This is the side of the bathhouse, I think. And you get a little sense of the slope that's there. It's much more pronounced in person, and I thought that was a curious tiny little window. I don't see tiny windows up high that much. But then I wanted to show this is the back of the bathhouse, and I saw right, and so you can definitely see. This was a furnace of some sort here. That's a chimney, no doubt, right? But it's kind of weirdly constructed into the side of this building. Above, you can see the reconstruction that happened here, at one point. But the thing that interested me most, and I don't know if you caught it, that's a hand railing. It goes down. Yeah, it does. They tried to hide it behind the porta potty, but the blind man found it. And it doesn't go anywhere. It goes to this little hatch down there, and they put a window here. So you have to assume at one point there was a door, but now it's a window. What do you need a staircase to go to a window for? For what? To get to this little crawl space down there. Amazing. I love the mud floods so much. It makes me so happy. Finding these little weird doorways. See, look, you can see here where their doorway was. They had to fill it in. So, and what can you see from the other side? I don't know. It's just amazing to me. Look, there it is. And here's a building on the side, the next building next to it, right? And I thought this extra platform here was weird. I'm sorry, Baltimore Fast Channel is just going to turn into a family. Yep, more buildings and more just pictures of buildings in Baltimore. The Walters Public Baths. I'm going to have to look this up. I'm sure there's history on it. One thing that I really like, is that a year on top? Nope, that's just weird coloring that for a second there. I want to say that looks like 1907, but again, overactive imagination. It has one of those circular balls in the top that really sort of, gets me excited when I see them, because I don't really see them in Baltimore very often, and it does make me think the exchange of free energy, like these are antennas, and on the and on the buildings I see them on, they're on top of my house, which the only house in my row that has them, the only house really on so many. I don't see them that often, and these are wood, but I believe, if they were part of a free energy exchange, they would have been plated with something. Oops. So yeah, this is the house. Oh, see, I'm almost done. All right. This is the house that's next to it, and I didn't get a good enough picture, but it is built super flush to this. And now this looks like the architecture that, when they say, "Yep, this is, 1880s, this was built." And again, it has, it's, this is a new coat of paint on it and everything, and it probably does a good job of masking some features that were covered over. But the thing that's really curious to me about it is how close these two were built together. Why did they need to be built so flush if they were both the same year? And to get it on this window, I mean, this feature here almost touches this window. When you're designing these buildings to be built, how does it make sense to build it so close to it? You think you'd give this window some space. I believe there's space there. And again, these are just speculative questions. Whoops, what happened? This is not the best picture. See, look how close that goes. That's by design? Or is this because this is just afterthought? They put this stuff on later, or built this window later, Just curious to me. Okay, anyway, so that's me having a lot of fun today. Thank you so much to David Lee for providing so much entertainment factor for me today. If you don't believe in mud flood, which is your right to believe, and I appreciate the efforts that you have in wanting to say, hey man, maybe this mud flood is kind of crazy to me, but there are better ways to go about it, my friend. It always pays to be kind. The purpose of the things that I do, and I don't like to call what I do research, because I think that, doesn't do enough credit or service to the people and other channels who really are doing a lot of research and doing so much hard work into this. I am not trying to mislead anyone. I do not believe the intent of any of the channels that I favor are trying to mislead anyone. Everyone is, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and everyone shares, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to try to make a crude joke about, what everyone who has an opinion also has, So try not to be one of those, because it's easy to just not watch mud flood videos. Don't watch them. You don't agree? You don't like the theory? You don't think it matches with you? Don't watch them. No one says you have to, leave rude comments to anybody. I don't think any mud flooder ever did anything to you. So anyway, I can get off my soapbox for now. I hope everyone has a great day, a great weekend, and with any luck, I'll have, more videos next week. So until the next one, cheers, guys. And thanks for watching. Oh, let me get all my plugs in. If you like what's going on over here, please like, share, and subscribe. The number of subscribers that I'm getting thanks to Rebel Without a Pause. I know your name is Mick, and I want to call you Mick, but it hasn't been formal, And I like to kind of be formal about that stuff before I just use people's names. My name is Andrew, by the way. Hello, everyone. My name is not a secret. I like the name Baltimore Fats. It's something that I've had for a long time, and it's not even my true original nickname. Anyway, so yeah, it's just been so great. I don't feel I deserve what's been happening, but thanks so much to everybody who watches and comments. All of you guys are so great, and so we'll see you on the next one. So until then, cheers, guys.